Yeah, I want to refer you to the same place. The United States versus Brewster.
Don't refer me. Just answer the question. In your view, if the president...
Did you just catch that? I mean, come on. Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Today we're diving into one of the most satisfying moments to come out of DC in quite a while. We've got Adam Schiff, a guy known for his dramatic pauses and gotcha-style questioning, going up against a Trump judicial nominee, Justin Smith. And honestly, this does not play out the way Schiff probably expected. He comes in with these over-the-top SEAL Team 6 style hypotheticals, clearly trying to trip the nominee up. But Justin Smith? Completely unshaken. Calm, composed, and sticking to the law the entire time. He doesn't take the bait, doesn't get flustered, just stays professional and steady throughout. It turns into a pretty striking contrast. Schiff keeps pushing, but instead of getting a stumble, he runs into a wall. When someone actually sticks to the judicial role and refuses to play along with the theatrics, the whole strategy kind of falls apart. By the end of it, you can almost see the realization setting in, this approach just isn't landing. Let's go through the full exchange, because it's one of those moments where the reaction says just as much as the words.
Legal team defending the president, articulating the president's position in Trump v. United States. I want to ask you about that. In the Court of Appeals, John Sauer, one of the counsel for the president, was asked by a Court of Appeals Judge Penn in the D.C. Circuit whether under your theory of the case, his theory of the case, a president could order SEAL Team 6 to assassinate a political opponent and not be subject to prosecution for it. Sauer's answer was effectively, that's right. Unless he were impeached first, he would not be subject to prosecution. Is that your view as well?
I think a similar question was also asked at the oral argument at the Supreme Court a few months later. I think the Supreme Court has now set forth a test in Trump versus United States that would address that hypothetical situation, which, based on my relationship, I might add, I think is outlandish, and I see no reason to think that that hypothetical would ever be a possibility.
Well, so is it your view as well, as it was Mr. Sauer's, that yes, the president could assassinate a political opponent and not be prosecuted for it if his party won't impeach him in the Senate?
I think Trump versus United States that you mentioned, Senator, now has addressed to some extent the impeachment judgment clause, and that is set forth in the opinion and would be something that I would be bound as precedent to apply if I was to address.
With my hypothetical, what's your answer? The president orders SEAL Team 6 to kill his political opponent, one of them, maybe several, uses the military to do it, so it's within the scope of absolute immunity. Is it your view that he is not subject to prosecution for that if the members of his party will not impeach him?
Yeah, with that hypothetical or any hypothetical that you might try to pose, Senator, I would just refer to the test that the Supreme Court has set out.
I'm asking you your view, so just tell me yes or no.
Yeah, and I want to tell you that as a judicial nominee, I don't want to prejudge any case, regardless.
Well, I'm not asking you to prejudge. I'm asking you to talk about your view and also what you argued, what you counseled the president in that case. Did you make the argument as a member of the president's legal team that, yes, he could assassinate his opponent if he used the military to do it, and if his party wouldn't impeach him, that he would be protected?
Yeah, so I can't get into any privilege conversations, as you know, due to attorney-client privilege, but I would refer you to the remarks that John Sauer had at the Court of Appeals and the Supreme Court.
Well, the remarks that he made were, yes, that's correct, he would be immune. So I don't hear any disagreement with you. Do you disagree?
I would disagree with your characterization of how he responded to that question. I think he said it was outlandish, would not happen, and that there would be a process to hold someone like that accountable. And I think that
the question from the judge was, if he were not impeached first, is that your position? And that was Sauer's position. It sounds like that is your position as well. Let me ask you about a different part of the court's opinion, that is that the only area where he's truly liable is purely personal conduct. So let me ask you this. If a president uses their official position to enrich themselves, is he immune, or is that purely personal?
So Chief Justice Roberts asked a similar question at oral argument. I think counsel referred him to the...
I'm asking you.
Yeah, I want to refer you to the same place, the United States versus Brewster.
Don't refer me, just answer the question. In your view, if the president enriches himself through his office, is he immune, or is that purely personal conduct?
Yeah, so I think the United States versus Brewster decision
Okay,
said that
you're not answering my question. Let me ask you a different one, see if you'll answer that. If a president took bribes to change the country's policy in the Gulf, purely personal or subject to immunity?
Brewster dealt with bribes, and in that case, the court said that a legislator could be prosecuted for bribery.
We're not talking about legislator, we're talking about the President of the United States, who has immunity now thanks to your work in part. So let me ask you another question. If a president demanded money from a media organization in order to approve a merger, immune or purely personal conduct subject to prosecution?
Every hypothetical situation will be addressed by the test in Trump versus United States on what type of immunity would apply.
Yeah, so you're not going to answer the question. I think it was a shocking view that John Sauer expressed in the Court of Appeals. I think it's a shocking view that you hold, that the president's authority is so profound that he basically is above and beyond the law, that there's no remedy for a president who would abuse his power the way we have already seen and I fear we'll see in the future. I think the Roberts Court will go down in history. That will be their legacy as having enabled the worst form of corruption we've ever seen in the Oval Office. And you'll be a part of the team that made that possible. I yield back.
Thank you. I would point out the implication that Mr. Smith can't be a good judge because he did his job as a lawyer is ridiculous, and did what every advocate would do for their client. And in fact, the Supreme Court agreed with those arguments. And so I don't view it as a strike of...
Unbelievable. Just absolute gold. Seriously, where do you even start with that? First off, that SEAL Team 6 hypothetical. Come on. It sounded less like a serious line of questioning and more like a scene ripped straight out of a Hollywood thriller. The whole setup felt like it was designed to corner the nominee into saying something, anything, that could be spun into a headline, but Justin Smith didn't take the bait. Not even close. He stayed composed, stuck to the law, and kept bringing everything back to legal precedent. Instead of engaging with the hypothetical, he grounded his answers in how judges are actually supposed to think and operate. No theatrics, no speculation, just a steady focus on the role of the court, and you could see the dynamic shift. As the exchange went on, the questioning got more intense, more rapid, with interruptions creeping in, a sign that things weren't landing the way they were intended. The topic started jumping too, from hypotheticals to bribery to personal conduct, but each time, Smith reset and returned to the same foundation, what the law says and how it's applied. By the end, the tone had clearly changed. When the conversation turns from questioning a nominee to broader criticisms about the court itself, it usually means the original line of attack didn't quite connect, and that closing moment, when another senator stepped in to point out that the nominee was doing exactly what a lawyer is expected to do, added an interesting final note. It raised a bigger question about how advocacy and judicial qualifications are being framed in these hearings. Overall, it was a striking exchange. One side pushing hard for a defining moment, the other staying firmly within the boundaries of legal reasoning. Definitely the kind of clip that gets people talking. What stood out most to you?